In older generation of Monster Hunter, with a new installment always comes some new weapons. I'm showing the list of all origin of the weapons, which game that they actually came out from. As I said in the past, with new games, we always get a new weapon. Well, except the non-mainline games. And also during Monster Hunter World, even though it's a mainline game, that pattern is finally broken. The developers were more focused on the environment, system that made the hunting smoother while having a variety of gameplay style, and improving the overall feel of the game, and immersion, which I can understand why there's no new weapon type for Monster Hunter World. While for Monster Hunter Rise, it is not a mainline series, and it is more about combat improvement and experimentation, and also exploring the ideas of vertical combat and vertical exploration. We have no idea if Monster Hunter Wilds is going to have any new weapon type, or if they are focusing more on environment, monster interactions, and other systems or mechanics after the transition from their old engine to RE engine. If they do plan to add new weapon type, what a new weapon that might come on the next Monster Hunter game. In this video, I'm going to share my possible ideas for a decent weapon type that can be added into the game, and you hunters should voice some crazy ideas of your own in the comment section. I know some people will say that we have a lot of weapon types already, but I think having more weapon types would only add more varieties into people's gameplay style and how they want to express themselves in Monster Hunter game. And also, I want to share my observation that so far, all weapons type in Monster Hunter require both hands to be used, or one of the weapon is handling something else as part of the weapon, even for a smaller weapon like the sword and shield, or even insect glaive. I would assume this trend will continue if a new weapon type is added into the game. Alright, this is my top 5 ideas that I think might be interesting to be added into Monster Hunter Wilds. Let's just get started, shall we? Number 1, Gunblade. We already have a heavy melee weapon that incorporates gun into the design, which is Gun Lance. Now I'm thinking that we need something fast and able to do some explosion. And I think it is a good time to bring a Gunblade out, like Squall weapons or lightning weapons from Final Fantasy. A way that I could think would make the gameplay to be a bit interesting would involve a fast hit combo like Dual Blade, and then finish it off with exploding to reposition yourself at the same time, using the recoil of the gun while dealing some gun damage, like the gun lens damage I mean. Also, I think it would be nice to have some kind of element discharge or elemental blight blast added into this kind of weapon, should they consider adding the blight mechanics outside using endemic life. And I really hope they do that, since I think in Rise that mechanics is a bit underutilized. But if you follow the trend of having to use both hands to wield a weapon, could be a dual gunblade, maybe. And I think it is very possible for this kind of weapon to be added into Monster Hunter series, since we already have something crazy like gun lens, or even some of the bowgun ammos. So I think it is quite possible to see that. And the second design that I think that might be added into the game is to have more blunt damage weapon, but this time it will be a fast one, like a fist, a knuckles, or tonfas. If you're thinking about possibility, most likely tonfa we will be able to make it due to the fact that this weapon exists in Monster Hunter Frontier. I've never used them myself, but I think it will be fun to use, because it has the ability to jump, and the attack speed is very close to that of dual blades. So it's pretty much like dual blades that can provide lots of blunt damage, and if they eliminate the usage of wire bugs in Monster Hunter Wilds, maybe even restricting the horizontal movement, that means Insect Glaive will be back as the king of aerial combat, and maybe Tonfas with the ability to jump will provide some competition in that element. I've always been a fan of using knuckles or fists to fight, so if this weapon is added, I'm definitely gonna main this weapon, since I really love dual blades that has the claw design, like the Nergigante or the Shagaru Magala weapon. They look so cool. But yeah, this is my favorite choice when it comes to weapon that I would like to be added to Monster Hunter Wilds. And number 3 will be to have more ranged weapons. On top of my mind, there aren't that many viable ranged weapons that seems viable, that seem matches with the setting of Monster Hunter. The only thing that I can think of at the moment is like a dual shot crossbow, at which they can coat 2 different coatings on each crossbow. If Elemental Blight can be applied by weapons, I think dual crossbow idea will be interesting, as one focuses on applying elements, the other deal raw or elemental damage. Other than that, I'm not sure what kind of other weapons that they can carry. Maybe like a portable ballista, maybe, or harpoon. But yeah, I think like the range options is losing in Monster Hunter since melee weapons usually are preferred by the hunters. And if they add a new ranged weapon, I think that would make weapon variety to increase, that's for sure, while also maybe make more players to try ranged weapons, since I'm also a huge fan of bow. It's such a shame that I don't see that many gunners compared to, like, of course, longsword user or even greatsword user. So yeah, more ranged weapon, I'm always up for that. Hey, are you liking what you're hearing so far? Please support me by clicking that subscribe button. I got quite a bit of unique viewers on each of my videos, but they don't subscribe. I would be extremely grateful if you could press the subscribe button. Thanks in advance. And number 4 is more like a crazy idea of mine. It's Boomhammer. Since so far we already have 2 transforming weapons, which are the Switch Axe and Charge Blade, I think it is about time that we have another transforming blunt weapon. Since so many traditional weapons are already present in the game, I think if they want to add a new weapon type into the game, the transforming weapon would be the natural choice at this point. This time, adding a blunt weapon that can make some explosion, much like the Gunblade, would be very interesting. I'm taking inspiration from the infamous weapon from Bloodborne, the Boomhammer, and also the Ignition Greatsword from Monster Hunter World. The weapon movesets would consist some of normal bashing with the hammer side, and then you have the ability to blast the enemies with explosion. And also, it would be very cool if the explosion is being used to propel the hunter attacks to a certain direction. The ultimate attack will be something similar to the gunless switch skill from Monster Hunter Rise, where you blast yourself to a certain direction and then you slam it to the monster face. So basically you're gonna zip zapping across the map quite a bit. And I would reckon this weapon will require a lot of skills to be handled. Man, I can imagine how fun this kind of weapon would be in Monster Hunter game, since the gunless blast was already very fun back in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. And for the last ideas, I'm not really sure what kind of weapons that should be added, but I'm thinking for a weapon that is offensive that has about 50% of the moveset are blunt damage and the other 50% do slash damage. But it's not a transforming weapon like Switch Axe. I know that Sword and Shield fulfill this requirement to a certain extent, but it will be nice to have a heavier version of Sword and Shield. The closest weapon that comes to my mind would be something like a halberd, because design-wise, halberd can be having a one edge that is fashioned with a blade, and the other edge is fashioned with a hammer. Because I've been thinking that the very early Monster Hunter game mechanics that they have, at which blunt and slash type will make quite a significant change when you encounter monsters. This way, it will encourage other players to try different weapons and master them, and go back to the immersion of using the right weapons for the right hunt, instead of maining only one weapon type. And this weapon would be a decent choice because it does both slash and blunt damage, so it will be used to navigate a monster that needs both blunt and slash damage in order to fully destroy their body parts. I don't know, it's just my wishful thinking, since for me Monster Hunter is more than just a hunting game, it's a world that I want to be immersed in. Well, that takes care of my 5 ideas, weapon types that I really want to see in Monster Hunter Wilds should they add a new weapon. And this is just a Monster Hunter fanboy with his own fantasy on what he wants to see in his favorite series of all time. It has been a long time since we obtained a new weapon. How long has it been now? Like 10 years maybe? Since Monster Hunter 4 release? So it will be interesting to see if the developers are going to add new weapon types, or they're going to polish the current weapon selection instead, or maybe some kind of sub-weapon system. Many people currently speculating that we can switch weapons on the flies as long as we have our mounts with us, due to the satchel that they show in the trailer. Well, regardless of all that, each Monster Hunter title usually brings something new into the game and makes each experience feels very unique and fresh. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Tell me your own fantasy weapons that you would like to add if you are the developers of Monster Hunter games. Tell me about it in the comment section. I will see you in the next Monster Hunter discussion videos or rant videos. Stay sharp, hunters.